First off, as Sam said, I'm Trevor Gordon. I work at Sodexo. Probably a lot of you guys are going, who is that? We are the world's leading provider of quality of life services. We are in 72 countries. We have 100 million customers a day. We have 460,000 employees. We have 25,000 cafes worldwide. So I work on the food business, which is about 70% of our business. So 70 times 22 is, I don't know, about 15 million. So that's the area I work in. So one thing I would say is that we've been undergoing a huge transformation from B2B, B2B4C to B2C. And I kind of wish when I saw the agenda today that I hadn't really answered the question of what's your session going to be titled when I was about just boarding on an airplane. And actually really what it's about is how, when you have evolving strategies within your business, within your marketing areas, within your customer areas, how do you actually deliver those and run your business at the same time? That's really the gist of it. So we've been going through this since 2016. We just had our financial year end 2 weeks ago. Well, it was in August, but we had our FY19 results about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And the number I'm most proud of is that 7.6% revenues. So I've been in the business 3 years. That is our highest growth since 2011. And actually what is really encouraging there is all the things I promised when I came into the business, we're actually seeing some reward on, and we're actually seeing some uplift. So that will kind of be a point in my talk today. Some excellent presentations today. And our business, like every other business, is going massive forces of change and massive disruption. So our traditional competition does not exist anymore. It used to be, if you ate on a Sodexo cafe in a university or a school or a sports stadium, whatever, there wasn't any competition. But right now, this is changing. If you look at this, we compete against the Pretz, we compete against any high street retailer. And then as well, you've got Uber Eats, you've got DoorDash. So not only is there changing consumer expectations, there is changing business models, there is changing ways of engaging with the customer. The whole thing's undergoing that transformation. And if you look at this, how do you survive, and how does your business evolve, and how do you actually react to that? So, and if you don't, well, you're going to go the way of the dodo. So actually, when you look at your strategy and you want to do all these great things, you have to look at that landscape. So not only your traditional competition, but what your new competition is doing as well. And there was a good point today. It's about your investment. When you are making your case for investing in your tech, how do you do that with the right tech? I really liked a presentation from the colleague from Time Out today, or it was actually the one from Mattel as well. Both had two key themes. It's about those KPIs, that if you're putting in this case and you're getting senior leaders to buy into that, how do you actually measure and show success besides the revenue? Okay. So there was a whole point here because our business had run quite successfully for about 35 odd years. Then all of a sudden they're going, we need to change. And it's how do you actually win hearts and minds with senior leaders to actually understand some of the things that you're actually trying to do. So for about 5-6 months, we went around, socialized it, shown the strategy, lots of charts, lots of graphs and everything else. A member of my team came up with some Lego bricks. And actually, if you look at the Lego bricks here, this was something that people could really understand. And we even have a simplified version of this. I'm showing you the version of this now. And what we talked about with our senior leaders was the pieces of the puzzle of what we need to do to put together to do that. And largely what I'm going to talk about today is how do you change that you're moving from, say, you're focusing on your processes, on your markets, on your regions, on any commercial strategy to be based around guest experience. We call our customers guests. Omnichannel, what does that actually mean? The data insight. So I showed you the stat of we have 100 million customers a day. That's a lot of data. And I think we had, I kept hearing we're a French-owned company. I know the French word for data lake, And people thought we were going to have these vast Google-like data warehouses, we're going to do all this stuff, and we're going to monetize this data. Whereas actually saying, no, we just want to know the top 5 things our customers actually want to know. We've got too much data. How do we actually turn it into actionable insight? Guest engagement, what does that mean? People thought, as Danny said earlier today, do you just spend a lot of money on buying likes on Facebook and social media? No, you don't. And digital content. So I'm going to talk about, that's the Lego bricks of how we sold this, but I'm going to talk about those things today. So if you remember this, it's how does that strategy evolve from B2B4C to B2C, and how do you actually run your business at the same time? Okay. I'm sure all of you have a chart like this in the business. You know, everyone talks about being customer-centric, but what does that actually mean? And if you look for us, this was a massive change for us. So if you look at our traditional clients, Microsoft, we do the Tour de France, we do the Rugby World Cup, we do Olympics, we do 100,000 sports seat stadiums in the US. We do prisons, we do Everton Football Club, we do everything. And what these people want is for their employees, their students, their schools, is they want a good experience for their staff, their students, or whoever it is. So I was actually trying to get this message across as saying to our clients who we have contracts with and business with is actually by focusing on improving the quality of life and experience for your employee, your student, whoever else, that's actually going to make them work harder, study better for you, make them more loyal. So that's super important. And then our vendors. We are the 6th biggest supplier of coffee in the world. We deal with the Coke, the Pepsis, anything you think of from an FMCG or CPG background. We sell a lot of stuff, and these guys sell a lot of stuff through us. We work with Starbucks, we work with Burger King, Chick-fil-A, Costa, Crush, whoever. And so our partners there, where we have the franchise concept, you know, we have 70 sub-brands within the organization. How do you get all of these stakeholders galvanized around that? So simple chart, but at the end, it's kind of what's in it for me. That's still a work in progress. And what we're saying here is very much is you want to form that emotional connection. I come into the next slide on loyalty. I don't think loyalty to the brand obviously exists anymore, but it's advocacy and loyalty to some of your services and how you actually manage that value exchange. Listen and learn from our guests. Super important. I'll come on to that later. Again, our very simple strategy is, and this is that Lego block beside this, we had digitalize our cafes, focus on customer experience, retain the customers have, reacquire the customers we lost, and actually get them to spend more. That was the 5 bullet point slide that our board understood, and that's actually what we follow. Okay, so, oh shit, sorry. I've suffered from cold all week, so apologies if I'm getting a bit coffee. So, there was a lot of talk today about can you build loyalty with your guests? What do your consumers actually want? How do you actually position what you're doing to actually hit that sweet spot with them? I did this slide about a similar event about a month ago, and I quite liked it, because I was sitting there thinking of what are the different kind of points around this of how we actually look at it. So if you look at the first 3, cost and quality, choice, and convenience. So cost, we get our food costs down as much as we can, so we price our stuff at a good point. The quality of our food's pretty good. Choice, we have so many menu ranges and so many other things that people can actually get what they want. Convenience, they can get delivery, they can get click and collect, they can order it many ways. So probably the first 3 we've actually really nailed, as have our competitors. You know, if people have bad product, it's not priced right, everything else, it's the 4 Ps and the 4 Cs. You don't get that right, you're going out of business. But where it's getting a lot harder is around control and experience. So if you think of control, if you think around GDPR, and one of the questions I forgot to ask Nikki was how they were managing their opt-out rates, but that's a marketeer's worst nightmare. if you come from a direct marketing CRM background, the idea of your addressable base opting out and going down because you've got your permissions and preferences set up the wrong way, complete nightmare. So how do you actually, and remember, a guest owns their experience. You don't control it, they control it. But how do you use the right data, the right promotions, the right campaigns, the right engagement, the right communications to be able to influence to the means you want? And that's where your customer strategies have to come through. And the experience, as I said there, we are omnichannel, we've got every channel like everyone else, but what is your channel strategy? And at that point in interaction from sale and serve, what is your objective at that point with that interaction, at that customer, at that time? Difficult, yes, but simplifying it, there's a way to do it. And I think that's what all of us are actually trying to solve on pretty much on a daily basis, and it changes all the time. Okay, so people like us, and we saw today, we like to get really theoretical about this stuff. So if you look at it, I would probably say we're probably somewhere between, we're probably between aspiration and we're just getting onto the point of starting to actually become really truly omnichannel. That's omnichannel in terms of the way of actually your front-end customer experience and digital systems, but all the way through to your back order around your order management, your returns, your fulfillment. So it's that whole end-to-end omnichannel piece. So I have a teenage daughter with a burgeoning Depop empire. She is, so she has a Depop store where she is basically started selling not only her own stuff, but I've noticed shoes disappearing around this house. These great Nike trainers I had for the last 5 years were all of a sudden gone, and she's told me she's got 70 pounds for them. So I was quite pleased for her. But I actually showed her to this, and because she's really savvy. Any purchase she makes, she will review online. She's ethically conscious, so there's certain clothing providers that she won't go to anymore. She does price comparison online. She looks at reviews. She will go in store to actually look at it, and then she will post a review about it. And if you look at any, she's a way more sophisticated consumer than I am. Any Generation Z, millennials, that's what they do. She has no loyalty to any brand or anything else. She'll find the product she wants, she'll source it, she'll go where she can get it for the best deal, and returned in the most, and delivered in the best way. So I showed her all this, and she goes, "Dad, it's not omnichannel, it's just shopping." And to that point, it's how we look at and actually make those changing and evolving consumer needs. So if you go back to my previous slide, it's that constant equation of how are you trying to engage, what is your positioning, all of that good stuff. Okay. I think we're doing it on time. So I love this stat here. I actually used this in a presentation about a year ago, but 2020 is what, 2 months away? So by 2020, more people will have, and this is globally, by 2020, this is a McKinsey stat, by 2020, more people have mobile phones than electricity, running, water, and cars. So if you looked at our presence, and if you look at, say, some of the things, everyone in our industry, and almost everyone here will have a mobile-first strategy. So you want omnichannel in that. If you look at food specifically, because that's what I do, food's coming to people. There is DoorDash, there is Uber Eats, there is everything. There's all these delivery aggregators that you're expecting. People want to consume it in different ways. And also, the challenge around this as well is you also then need a whole load of skills to actually do this. So what we've done, and looking on this omnichannel piece, is very much taking a mobile-first strategy. We have a great app called Byte. The UK version isn't that great if you're looking at it on your phone. But what we've seen is, well, put it this way. When I started, traditional quick service restaurant sales via digital channels is between 20 to 25%. In my first year, this is embarrassing, we had 0.5. So we've now hit like good double figures. And what we can see is a lot of that is incremental. So you can see where a lot of that number of that 7.6% come. So it's a bit of a greenfield site, but we've done a lot of things right. And the other thing I would say about this is when we talk about the omni-channel side of it, it is just not that channel front-end management. It's that whole order management and that whole fulfillment piece. So I'm just going to show you here a video. I hope it works. I don't think it's working, which is really cool. I don't know if you guys can try hitting play. It's not giving you an option. Okay, sorry, this was a really cool video. We have robots delivering food on university campuses in North America. If you look at this is kind of the whole last mile piece. That's a bit of a letdown because I was going to have a drink of water. I'll give these guys, not working, yeah? Okay. Let me try again. That is a shame. Okay. Can you try taking it off and just taking out a presentation mode and just hitting? There you go. Keeping the volume up, please. Thank you.
Did I just step into another century?
The Starship robots had the robots could deliver on campus within minutes.
Hello, here's your delivery.
There's an app on your phone which you then can go through the restaurant and then select whatever food items you want. After that, you have the paying method, and then just press send, and it'll tell you that the robots are delivery. There's just a little delivery timer, and it'll tell you when it's there. You go out, press a button, and the robot unlocks, and there you go.
I have a lot of stuff to take care of, and sometimes I don't have time to eat.
Even going up and getting food and coming back, it just takes a lot of time.
A lot of the restaurants on campus have long lines, especially during lunchtime.
So having robots on campus really saves me a lot of time.
If I'm studying, that means I don't have to get up and leave. Come to me.
The best part of it is that delivery cost is $1.99.
That's probably less than I value 40 minutes of waiting and then walking back.
Hello, I'm a Starship delivery robot.
They're pretty seamlessly integrated into the campus.
You just kind of get used to seeing them around.
It's just part of life.
Have a nice day.
Cool. Thank you. If you can go back just to the next slide, that'd be great. Thank you. So we now have that on 7 or 8 main universities in North America. And if you look at that, so they pay $2 for each delivery. We thought this is going to cannibalize some of our existing orders through some of our big franchise there. Not at all. Most of those additional, we've seen probably in the first 2 quarters about an additional 40,000 orders. So, and most of that was around incremental. So we're seeing that around there. We are a high volumes, low margins business. 100 million customers, you can see our numbers. Our ATV is, that's another encouraging thing I should have stuck up there. Our ATV was static, but actually what we're seeing is, what's interesting is through the loyalty and through some of this new fulfillment ability through digital ordering, different aisles of fulfillment, click and collect, robots, everything else, and we are doing drones, is ATV is about 10 to 15% higher, and people are coming back, so it's driving that frequency. It's driving up increased ATV and increased loyalty. The one thing I would say on there that's quite funny is if you go on BuzzFeed or just YouTube it, there's a video of the guys, I think it's from Vice, they basically try to break into one of those robots and they do everything and they didn't get in. I can personally say I had one run into my leg, and the amazing thing is I thought it would just kill it, but it's just got so many sensors on it that it literally stops right there. So the tech is pretty amazing. Key for us is doing something like where you industrialize it. Okay. So I'm probably going to call on a point that Nikki said earlier today is building up that single guest view. So we have 100 million customers a day. So just imagine the data that brings. It's huge. And if you look at that, so we have all that data. And when I started and met our chief data officer, and I was like, here's all this stuff, gotta do some great marketing with it. And I said, well, first off, what insight have you got from that you can tell me is going to how to better understand my customers? I don't know, but we've got all this data. And this was a big thing, and this is a continued work in progress for us. So it was really taking this from a marketing perspective, and I kind of said it earlier, so I'm stealing my own thunder, I said to my team, the kind of chief marketing operations guy on my team is, here's the 5 things I want to know about my customer. Go away, come back, and do some, and come up with some campaigns around that. And to Nikki's point, what this actually started was a process, and I like what Tariq mentioned as well. We took some product discipline and put that into our digital marketing. So, we're in 72 countries. It changes from region to region, as that Alicia talked on today from Mattel. But actually, what we've got now is that discipline. So, in terms of the way that we're actually using our data, we're taking actionable insight from it. And it's just not around our engagement. We're actually doing this now around forming our product range, around some of our assortment, around some of our pricing points, around our loyalty program and everything else. But it is still very much a working process. And the other thing I would say there on the left is, like the people at Time Out, is actually making sure that you're capturing that data from that side. The other thing I would say as well is, from a competitions perspective, so we run big competitions with Coke, Pepsi, you name it, we do it. You have about a 10-second slot to be able to actually get people to tell you something. And it's great to ask them for every data item in the world, but it's only those 2 or 3 things, and you've got to incentivize them. That's where the value exchange, the value proposition is. Okay. So I started off in direct marketing. I'm a marketeer at heart. I think some of the panel was saying, but I had to become a tech guy. So I play around a lot in the marketing tech space, around the digital space. At the heart of it, I love the content. For us, what was a big step change is, so we have 25,000 cafes worldwide. So you will see tabletops, you will see banners, you'll see everything else. When I started, and this is not meant in a derogatory way at all, our marketing copy read if it was for like Good Housekeeping magazine. And it was that type of copy that they were actually putting on our digital channels. They're putting it on our social, everything else. We did not differentiate content per channel strategy or how you actually reuse it, and we had no analytics around it. It's terrible. Actually, that's a bad thing to say. What we've actually changed is we've really simplified around it. So I'll just touch on each of these quickly. We have 5 minutes left, that's fine. Personalization. So personalization costs money, and everyone talks about the nirvana of a one-to-one, but we probably do one-to-end. And that, for us, when we saw that data, yes, we have understanding of each of those guests who's opted in, but we are doing that segmented approach. And we play around with personalization. It could be personalization of offer, it could be personalization of content, it could be personalization of journey. In terms of the content, it's hugely important, and that's where we're focusing on. But remember, personalization falls across all those areas. All the three, the other 3 are kind of related. A key thing for us, and I wish we had Adobe Marketing Cloud, is our flight control and our cross-channel orchestration, and basically our contact policy, so we're not spamming the shit out of people, is not where it should be. So for example, if you think of from an omni-channel perspective, we're doing it for both sales and serve. This for us is a continual work in progress. And a member of my team asked about 6 months ago, who's excellent. She's going, when does this project finish that we quit playing around with our content and do this? And I said, she's new to the role, and I said, well, this is what we do now. This is not a project, this is what we do. Your job is going to be continuing to improve, refine, and look at that content strategy. That's what we do. I think 2 slides left. I'm not going to go much into here because this is fairly basic. The really scary slide that Nicola had from Time Out, this is a much simplified version. But what we had to get into was very much the concept around channel architecture. I I used the word curate once, and I heard myself saying it. I thought that's a terrible term. But it's more of, if you're looking at that, to me, that it's that content that fuels what we do. You know, we've got good tech, we have good experiences, we have good target journeys, we have good products. But where we've seen the real lift on what we've done, and I think we saw probably 20% growth in some of our key KPIs across our digital marketing last year, it has been that success of the content. I think what the team's highlighted here is looking at how you actually partner with the right agencies, get that simple customer strategy in place, and how you're actually going to do to support it. You're not going to sell them everything at every point with every interaction, and it's having your content strategy based around your customer strategy. I think this is the last slide, on time. So if we look where we are now, so this has been a 3-year work in progress. You know, we've hit a good spot where we're actually seeing some traction in the business. So, you know, rather than being sacked, I'm actually been getting a pat on the back, and they're actually saying, this stuff actually works. And what it's kind of moved away from, so I hear our CEO use the words, you know, we have our KPIs baked into our overall kind of key targets at a global level. So every country is measured on the same thing, which is fantastic. We have as one of our 4 strategic pillars in the organization, consumer centricity. Our CEO, he evangelizes about this stuff. But I just want to say, what does that actually mean? Our in-source staff, we have 25,000 sites. So imagine on a university campus or a sports stadium, we could have 250 staff there, 300 staff. They now are able to focus through this tech and through all this stuff of joining up, focusing on making that in-store experience as good. Because remember, we've weaved that digital into that physical. So they are our brand ambassadors and representatives, hugely important. Our guests. So we digitized our cafes, we digitized and made that whole experience. So they've got online, they've got app, they've got kiosk. We do voice ordering through UI. They can order from their cars. They can get it whenever they want. They can book their slots. We have loyalty programs. They can book a meeting room at their facility through us and get their stuff delivered. So that's the other thing as well, is the tech is important. But if you're thinking about you're not a pure play online retailer, you've got to think about all that training and change management and process that sits behind that as well. And then the other thing, so we've taken a B2C approach, but we're still a B2B business. We have contracts with most of the largest companies in the world to provide them these services. But what this gives us is a very good proposition for our sales teams to take out, to win, and retain business, which we're doing. So that is me done. Thank you very much.